In our Atmos studio here, we've got our own system that we can provide to our clients if they need. But that's not really what we want this room to function as. We want people to be able to bring in their own work environment into this space and just connect and go. A big thing for us is because Atmos is such a emerging format for music, we want to introduce people to this format in a way that isn't going to scare them off. And we've got a large community here of producers, writers, mixers, composers, even guys in film and TV and gaming that don't really have a space other than in their headphones, their cans in their own production rooms at home or wherever it may be, to experiment with this format. They've got an affordable and easy way to be introduced into this format through this room and through this space. But also that's enabled by the technology and the hardware we have here. And the ORIA is really at the heart of that. Taleyard is it's a difficult thing to describe. It started off as music and very much still is music focused, but we have a lot of other ancillary industries in the equation now, from gaming to film, TV, and all the other kind of media related businesses that we have here. TYX Studios, I kind of describe it as the commercial studio arm of Taleyard. So traditionally, the core business of Taleyard has been, we'll build and design your space for you. We'll, if you need studio space, you need office space, whatever it is, we'll make it work. And TYX is a resource in the community for those businesses, but also it's another access point for people to enter into Taleyard. So you don't have to take up permanent space. You can come here and use the spaces we have on offer, and that varies wildly from music studios to content spaces to co-work space. And it gives people the chance to be part of the vibrant community we have here and join the events and some of the activities that go on. So at TYX Studios, we have rooms like the room we're in, which is an Atmos mix studio. It also gets used as a production studio, as most rooms are kind of multidisciplinary here. We have a number of production studios and writing rooms that are focused on plug and play. So bring your laptop in, plug it in, class compliant hardware, top end microphones, preamps, great sounding rooms, great monitoring, and away you go. And then we have a more traditional tracking studio where we have the Audion ASP 4816 HE edition, which we love. And then we have upstairs some content studios. We've got an Infinity Cove where you can do anything from talking head stuff to podcasts to portraits to whatever you want. We also have some really fantastic podcast studios and content creation studios. And we've been lucky to have some of Europe's and UK's biggest podcasts, if not the world's, come and record in our walls. And it's always great to host people like that, for sure. We've had this Atmos studio now at TYX for nigh on over a year, and it's been an explorative journey because it's a new medium. It's not a new medium in the context of technology, but for music it is. And we've built several Atmos studios across the Taleyard estate for some of our tenants. And this was our first attempt at our own. And we've really been looking for a technology solution that can fit into our ethos and philosophy of minimum overhead on time, minimum assistance required to get you set up. Of course, there are always going to be kind of compromises made in these areas. We wanted to make the least amount of compromises possible. And that goes from how the room sounds, the tuning of the speakers, the time alignment, down to how quickly can we get someone with their own rig into this space, their own laptop, and get them up and running. And to be honest with you, I think the ORIA is the only solution that can really cater to that. And that's testament to its rollout in this room. It's just really changed the way that we can interact with our clients. Matt's he's a good friend and a good friend of the business, and his credits speak for himself. He's very, very much a cornerstone of the mixing industry in the UK, and he's been bouncing around looking for a space to call home where he can finish his mixes. And this is the important thing about this space: is a lot of people can start the process at home on their laptop, but they need to be able to monitor it in an environment that is representative. It can transfer, it can, they can go, it's like the car test, right? You need a space where you have that full Atmos monitoring experience in a room that's tuned well, where the hardware, time alignment, the EQ is all trustworthy. And that's what the ORIA does for us. It's a one box package, whereas before we had several units that cost, quite a considerable amount of money with a considerable amount of setup time as well. And this solves all of that for us. So Matt can come into this space and it's seamless for him. He doesn't have to upset his own kind of workflow in order to integrate into this space.
What's refreshing here is that I've plugged one cable in and everything has just worked. I've worked in many Atmos rooms. Some of them are network based, and it has led to a few problems. As you may know, it can be quite complex, and things can be either set up differently for the last person. And, some of these systems you might touch on once every 3 months. So you learn the system, you know what you're doing for that session, but 3 months later, I've worked on 50 other projects and I can't remember how it was set up before. It can be incredibly frustrating, incredibly time consuming. And there's that nervy thing. When you know it's working, you mix with confidence. When you think it's working and you hope it's working, there's a niggle and you don't quite bring your best to the mix. So having one lead, it works. It's never been a problem for me. It just means I'm mixing with absolute confidence from the off.